Hello, everyone, and welcome to another SPE Live. I'm your host, David Gibson, and today we are here with Schlumberger, who's taking center stage to be able to talk about the digital revolution. All right, everyone. As you all know, this is live, and the whole point of being able to do this live is so that we can interact with you, the audience, right? So we want to be able to know, where are you guys watching from? We'd love to be able to see where everybody's at around the world, right? We also want to be able to hear your questions as we go through the conversation today. If you have something that's just burning inside your brain and the curiosity is really taking over, ask the question. We will get it over to the expert. We all know I'm not the expert. It'll be the expert that's on the show. All right. And also just be able to leave some comments, leave some of your thoughts in the comments portion, right? We want to be able to know, what are your thoughts, your feedback? What do you see as what's taking place in the digital revolution here in the future? All right. The energy, whoa, sorry. Getting messed up there. All right, the energy industry is in the midst of a digital transformation. Companies are facing unique challenges, and the need for innovation is greater than ever. During this broadcast, we will discuss accelerating digital integrations that are essential to workflow. One important item to keep in mind, audience, there are still many companies out there looking for or adjusting strategies that best fit them, or looking for strategies that best fit them. So you are not alone. Joining me for this tech talk is Morten Jensen with one of the coolest titles out there, Global Innovation Factory Manager. Welcome to this SPE Tech Talk, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, David. Hi, everybody. Very good. Very happy to be here. You see, I even have my Innovation Factory T-shirt on today, so I'm fully branded.
I love it. I get to be the one that's dressed up today. I wore my blue and white button up, right? With a little, sporting the Schlumberger colors.
Absolutely, and I've kind of been in this digital bubble for many years already. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. I got the opportunity to go and start and manage the Schlumberger Innovation Center out in Silicon Valley around 2014, 2017. For just over 3 years, and since then I've been working with companies on digital innovation. So I've been part of this innovation bubble for a long time already.
Awesome to hear. All right, audience, so let's see what you have to say. Send us your questions, right? This is live. Questions and comments. We're also interested to hear your reactions to the conversation. So we encourage you to engage with us and be able to get those comments and questions out there. All right, Morten, we've already touched on some buzzwords, right? We all love buzzwords. Digital transformation, digital innovation. While most companies have developed strategies to navigate the digital arena, there is much to consider in building these plans, isn't there?
No, absolutely. And, I'm often kind of saying that we're in a perfect storm right now. And that, for me, this makes it the most exciting time to be working on technology, at least during my career in this industry. And I think there are a couple of things that are center stage there. First of all, it's the pressures that our industry is under at the moment. So, we have had this trend of lower demand resulting in decline in prices. Of course, that is reducing the budgets that are spent on exploration, drilling, development, and production. And then there's a huge drive to be more cost effective, to be faster, to have new innovative solutions. And also in our industry, we have these long planning cycles, right? We have planning cycles that sometimes can take over a year. And we don't have time for that anymore. So we have to do this much faster. We need to put our assets into production or make our production adjustments much faster than we've done before. And the second thing I just wanted to mention was the zero carbon footprint, the drive for new energy. the drive to be low carbon solutions to reduce the emissions that we also have in our industry. And this is driving a huge demand for technologies around low carbon production, around carbon capture and storage, about the new energy sources, and about integrating energy sources into a complete solution. So we clearly see that. We also see that our industry can play a huge role in that. We have the expertise to do these large projects, and we also have a lot of technology that can play a big part there. And I just wanted to mention, David, kind of a third force that we're seeing at the moment as well, and that's the generation change. People like me, are being challenged by a new generation of people that are joining our industry, and we also lost many of the kind of the experts, the long-term experts that we had in the industry. So we have to kind of adjust and change and transform into a technology base that suits this new generation of professionals in the industry.
So you mentioned solutions there. So one space people are looking for these solutions is startups. These companies are getting exposure at conferences and in publications. The easy steps is following and celebrating successful digital innovation projects, but only a few are making it to full deployment. Could be holdups at the funding stage or integration issues. Are you seeing that as well? And why do you think this is happening?
No, it's definitely an interesting phenomenon that we're seeing across the industry right now. I mentioned that I went to Silicon Valley and spent a few years there in Palo Alto, in Menlo Park. Actually, our office was right next to the legendary venture capital companies and the startups. So we were interacting with them day in and day out. In that environment. But one of the challenges we have, and I think many of you on the call probably see as well, is that we have many exciting pilots and the proof of concepts, experiments within the digital projects that we're doing, machine learning, AI, etc. But then we have a challenge getting those solutions all the way through wide deployments, to scale them, to make them more general, to integrate them in the workflow, etc. And we actually call that the innovation dilemma, because we see so much of that out there right now. And we think this is a major challenge that we have to address as part of innovation. So we like to say, within the Innovation Factory and the program that I run here for Schlumberger with the industry all over the world, we are seeing that we're putting a lot of emphasis on this technology maturity journey. So even when we work on experiments and proof of concepts, we always try to have the end goal in mind, that we always try to keep in mind what is the journey that will take us all the way to an enterprise deployment, if you like, or all the way to a deployment to a wide range of users, wide range of projects that will really have that impact that we are looking for. And David, we talked about this, the challenges that our industry is facing. And when I say kind of the perfect storm, I kind of combining those challenges that we have with this digital toolbox that we also have now available. And that digital toolbox, with the machine learning, with the cloud compute, with the Internet of Things, with the user experience design, that's like a symphony that is working together, and it makes things possible that just we were dreaming about until very recently. And that is, together with the challenges that we have in the industry, we're so fortunate to have this new toolbox to play with that can actually make it possible for us to create the solutions that are making step changes into the performance.
Well, I could definitely tell you're very passionate about this. Would love to hear a little bit more about what you're doing and how digital is transforming your company.
No, absolutely. So, we have a company, with huge investments in technology, and I've been part of that technology organization, throughout my career. And the technology that we build, the new software solutions, digital solutions, we also use internally, for the Schlumberger, to perform the Schlumberger services and the tasks that we do all around the world. So this makes it possible for us to sustain a large investment in technology. And we, of course, like to work with our customers and with digital, nobody can do it alone. There's so much to do now. We have to do it fast. We have to do it together. So, the Innovation Factory program that I run now, which is continuing on the customer involvement program that we've had for a long time. This is really the gateway for the oil and gas companies and the energy companies to work with Schlumberger, the expertise, the domain expertise, the digital expertise, the operational expertise that we have, together with the experts from the companies that we work with, so that we can do great things together. And that's what I'm very fortunate to be able to work on. And innovation factories all over the world is about accessing, our resources and working together. And as part of that, which we're really excited about, and is part of my day-to-day work right now, is we are establishing 7 new innovation centers all over the world, customer-facing innovation centers. So in these locations, you see here Houston, Rio, Oslo, Moscow, Abu Dhabi, Beijing, Kuala Lumpur, and this is just beginning. These are innovation centers, teams already established, and then we're constructing these centers right now. So when we kind of get through this pandemic now, that we can start seeing each other again, this will be meeting places and really exciting places for digital innovation for the industry going forward. And we plan to build more centers than this as we move forward as well.
Excellent. Audience, now is a good time to start typing your questions for Morten in the comments of the stream, and we'll begin answering those shortly. We also had a poll that was placed in the event, right? If you haven't answered the poll, be sure to jump over there and do that. As we wrap up on this next part, then we'll come back and be able to discuss that a little bit further. So yes, where do you see the biggest potential for digital innovation to boost performance? Drilling, production, subsurface, and exploration. We've got 11 votes so far, so be sure to get your vote in there, and would love to be able to hear from more of you there in the audience. All right, Morten, now is a fair time. I'd like to ask you to back up your discussion with some case studies. What results can you share with us from deployments? And maybe the bigger question, has this data led you to believe that artificial intelligence is replacing existing methodologies?
So, I mean, we have if we start with the last question first, so David, in our industry, we have a lot of experts. We have a lot of science that's been developed over decades. And this science is often what we call physics-based. So there are kind of models that are based on physics, geology, etc., which we use to develop and understand, with algorithms to understand the subsurface and make plans for drilling and production and, field development and things like that. And a lot of traditional domain experts get a bit worried with all this talk about, new digital machine learning, artificial intelligence. And I often actually get, I don't know if you all hear that, but I often get the question, will artificial intelligence make my job obsolete, for example? And, from what we're seeing, I just want to put everybody at ease when it comes to that, because we're seeing that domain expertise, the traditional domain expertise, is more important than ever. And it's really the foundation of the both, using this new technology, building this new technology, and it's the foundation of this new technology. So what we're talking about with machine learning and AI is, being able to combine this with the traditional methods so that we can boost performance. And that's where, we can boost the performance tremendously. We see many cases where we're actually able to improve performance by, tenfold for larger workflows, sometimes 100-fold for individual, workflow steps and things like that. We're able to automate things that were previously manual. So we have a lot of highly educated and skilled professionals in our industry today that spend a lot of their day kind of picking faults or, making pretty mundane, repetitive tasks. Those part of our job, I think, will disappear. The machine will do the repetitive task for us. The machine will help us look at multiple scenarios. Sometimes we can only look at a couple of scenarios today. The machine is now and will very soon help us being able to look at hundreds of scenarios. So all this means that when we combine these technologies, we can do our workflows much faster, and that could be like the field development workflows that we do in a year today. We're seeing that we can reduce to instead of months and years, it's like weeks and months, if you like. We're seeing that drilling, we can build a plan. Sometimes we can build a drilling plan collaboratively in a couple of days, in the time that it took many weeks to do before. So by combining these tools, we can really make systems that can make a step change in that performance. But go ahead.
No. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I could talk forever about this. So it's I just wanted to say, again, I talked about this innovation dilemma, that it's sometimes hard to take these technologies that are very promising experiments and then take them all the way into a solution that can make an impact wider. And I just maybe wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about why is that, So the machine learning solutions are one of the challenges is often context sensitive. So it works very well in one context. It may not immediately work that well in another context. It may need to be retrained. We may need to redo the algorithm. So there are some challenges with that. But even more is the challenge of integrating this technology into the workflow so that we don't have to kind of import data, massage the data, export the data, massage the data again. It needs to be integrated into our workflows. And this, takes some resources, it takes some time, it takes some investments to do, but it's absolutely crucial to be able to capture the value of these technologies. So that's why I wanted to mention that, in like the Innovation Factory and the programs that we have, sometimes we work on early experiments. Sometimes we work on, finalizing the enterprise ready deployments. But we always have that whole journey in mind, because we find that getting the value from this innovation, from this new fantastic AI, artificial intelligence algorithm, we absolutely have to think about how we integrate it into our workflows, how we deploy it into our wider infrastructure.
I think at some point in time, I actually had this data massage therapist as one of my things on my resume there. So we've got a question here from the audience. So Arya asks, hi, Morten, regarding the innovation dilemma, what do you see as the largest challenge facing this? Is it simply scaling the proof of a concept to real industry, or is it culture within management? How do you suggest this is best overcome? Amazing question. Thank you, Arya, for bringing that up.
No, excellent, Arya. And I don't know if some of you heard Elon Musk recently. I'd like, he's been talking about he's very passionate about manufacturing these days. And he's sometimes saying manufacturing is more important than innovation. And I don't think we can accuse Elon Musk of being anti-innovation, of course. So I think what he's saying is about the same as we're saying here, is that this innovation, this early innovation, the idea is extremely important, but it has to be integrated into the wider workflow. It has to be industrialized so that we can take wide advantage of it. And why is it that we're seeing this? Well, one could be that when we talk about innovation these days, we're so hung up on the idea, this experiment, that we kind of forget about the second stage there. But the second part of why it may be hard to do is that it actually takes competency, expertise. It takes investment in this. It's not something that comes for free. So I think that is part of the answer here, is that we have to plan for it. We have to know how to do it, and we have to be able to deliver on it. So I think that's a lot of what's behind that one.
Excellent. So we've got another question here from the audience. So audience, please continue to ask your questions. Give us your thoughts and feedback. Are we completely wrong on Elon Musk being, all about manufacturing and stuff? Let us know. All right. So this one's from Jan. How you see the individual instrumentation vendor IoT cloud solution integration into the bigger IoT solution of the end user? It was kind of a complex there, but going from, instrumentation to end user, what are your thoughts on that?
So a couple of things on that one. So one is yes, there are multiple vendors. Schlumberger is a big one. We work on projects where we integrate, many solutions from many parties, and also internal solutions from the customers that we work with. So one thing that we're seeing is that open standards, whenever we can, flexible architectures, to give us that flexibility that we need to both move fast on what we're doing, but then also to be able to integrate with other solutions. And I think that's part of the backdrop for the question that you're asking as well, because with multiple IoT solutions, etc., we have to be able to be flexible and standards based to be able to work together with to be able to integrate these technologies into the overall flow. I mean, when it comes from IoT to all the way to the end user, that is kind of what the whole theme of digital is all about. To be able to get those measurements, and very often, I mean, most often today, we're now talking cloud. And even in 2014, when I moved to Silicon Valley, using these cloud technologies was not something that was widely discussed. Now, in many contexts, that this is a given. In the discussion that we're talking about, we're talking cloud in many cases. So this means about really connecting the IoT so that we can harness that data, make it available to everybody through different types of cloud data ecosystems. And we deal a lot. For example, we're heavily invested in the OSDU. We're a contributing partner and very committed to the open standards-based OSDU Data Platform, for example, as one of the key infrastructures that we're looking at the industry wide for this purpose. But that's really how can we get that data from the data has limited value when it's in in the IoT systems, when it is at the edge. We really need to make that data available to put it to use in the wider context. So that's where this whole infrastructure comes in, and the data ecosystems. Luckily now that we have a lot of technologies already available and coming in the near future that really helps us to deal with that data challenge, if you like.
Well, could you go a little bit further in clarifying the importance of a couple of terms there for us? We open standards, right, and flexible architecture.
Yeah, sure. So today we are moving faster than ever with technology. So we're integrating a lot of technologies into master workflows. Every company has a different preference. We all want to do it slightly differently. We want the freedom in the future to be able to integrate, as I just talked about. So we need standards to be able to do that. It's going to be too slow. If everybody have their own proprietary way of doing this, we need a way that we can do that. We can do that across the industry much faster than we perhaps have been able to do in the past. So that those open standards, whenever they are available, whenever we can use them, they're critical. But you also mentioned flexible architectures, right? And flexible architectures, often we talk about microservices. If you know the jargons, there's things called microservices, for example, which is about a flexible modular architecture that is easy to kind of plug and play. And APIs, meaning the interfaces, how these different systems talk to each other. Even when you don't have standards available yet, to be able to clearly define these APIs to make a modular, flexible architecture is hugely important. And that's also probably behind some of the innovation dilemma discussion that we just had before. When we're not taking this into account, when we don't have architecture that are flexible, when we don't use open standards whenever we can, we're going to get stuck. It's going to be much harder to move to that full impact that we talked about before.
Okay, so another big debate here is buy versus build. Most of us want full control of our critical workflows and data. What factors go into building digital solutions ourselves compared to being able to buy something off the shelf?
No, that's an excellent question. So when a company like Schlumberger, of course, offers digital platforms, digital solutions, we would love for you to come to Schlumberger and get as much as you possibly can of what you need. But we also know that there is a lot of with machine learning and artificial intelligence, for example, there's a lot of interest to be able to build tailor-made algorithms, and we have a lot of good expertise out there in the companies, in the expertise in the different units that are working on this. So. And in addition to that, there are many vendors, and they're best-in-class applications. There are different applications that suit different clients for different customers, for example. So there is a need to be able to both do the kind of the buy versus build decision. It's the need to be able to integrate different solutions into the end workflows, if you like. But today, in the early days of digital, there is a lot of build, a lot of internal experimentation on machine learning, artificial intelligence, things like that. And obviously there you have the maximum freedom, you have the maximum flexibility. But the problem is that you don't have you don't have shoulders to stand on. You have to start from scratch with everything. So I think it really needs to be a combination. This is, I think, again, where the flexible architectures come in. If you're doing, like many of you are probably working in the subsurface, for example, say seismic interpretation, and of course, machine learning is coming in big time there. We have fantastic algorithms there. Others have as well. You may have people in your organization that are building fit for purpose, algorithms or training algorithms for very specific needs that you have. They are, in my mind, in my opinion, the architectures have to support mixing and matching, combining this. It's not an either or, but we need to be able to combine this so that we can harness the best in class whenever we can.
Excellent. All right, so we did have the question. I'm trying to find it again, but we had the poll there, and so I want to be able to get your response to the poll. If I can find it, here it is. All right. So where do you see the biggest potential for digital innovation to boost performance? Is it drilling, production, subsurface exploration, or feel free to throw out an other or D all the above, not D, E all the above. What do you think, Morten?
No, this is great. Can we bring up the results maybe again on that so that we can all have a look?
The live results here are saying 35% drilling, 35% production, 15 and 15. So we had a tie for drilling and production, and then a tie for surface, subsurface and exploration.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and of course
I voted for drilling, by the way. So I'm just
exactly. No, so we of course we work in all these areas. We also work in energy transition in my program, and what we see here in terms of the results of the poll is something that we see quite a bit. But in my mind, it's not necessarily. I think, for example, in exploration and development, I think digital has a huge potential, and we're seeing that already, the results there. But in terms of the big impact on our industry, of course, drilling and especially the production. We really need to be efficient in production. We need to improve the margins. We need to put assets in production faster. So it's not a surprise to me that the focus on production is also showing up in this poll here. And this is reflected also in the activity that we have in our program. A lot of enthusiasm and interest in being able to boost production, both the planning and optimization of production and the day-to-day kind of real-time production monitoring using machine learning and AI.
Well, at the end of the day, that's why they are drilling wells, is to be able to produce something. All right. So we've got time for one last question here, and to be able to wrap up, Morten, what's one last thing that you would like to be able to share with the audience before we go? And also there at the tail end, let us know how to be able to continue the conversation with you or your team.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of kind of petrotechnical experts, domain experts that are on the call today, and we already touched on. I don't think your job is obsolete with machine learning, but what I do think, one of the kind of passing words I'd like to leave everybody with, and I think that goes for all of us. These digital technologies, and maybe especially artificial intelligence and machine learning, is going to be part of our day-to-day life. We're not going to, our previous kind of domain knowledge will not be obsolete, but we have to augment it with knowledge about the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and digital. And this is both to be able to contribute to that technology and to be able to be efficient users of that technology. But data science, artificial intelligence, will be not for just the data scientists in the future. It will be for all scientists, for all of us, basically. So that's one thing. And then, as we're approaching the end of the half an hour, also encourage all of you to get in touch with me on LinkedIn to continue this discussion there, and of course to get in touch with us. If you're interested in learning more about what we do in this innovation factory, and what we can do for you and together with you as we go forward.
All right, Morten, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. For everybody out there watching, be sure to follow up with Morten, like he said, there on LinkedIn. And as always, if you guys are enjoying these SPE Tech Talks, please tune into the ones in the future where we continue to be able to put out posts and information out there, especially on all your social media channels, emails, whichever way that you're getting your information from SPE. So be sure to keep tuning into more of these in the future. We're going to continue to have Tech Talks. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the little things that all the YouTubers say that you need to do to be able to help us out here, just be able to reach even more people. Morten, once again, thank you so much for being here. And for me, as always, everybody, know your industry. Bye-bye.